The sun beat down on the busy city streets as cars honked, vendors shouted, and footsteps hurried in every direction. In the middle of all this chaos stood a man in an expensive black suit, polished shoes now gathering dust, and a face that rarely showed emotion. Daniel Carter. Daniel was the CEO of a massive tech company. His decisions changed lives. His commands moved millions. But to him, life was a spreadsheet. Rows of profits, columns of losses. He had no time for stories or emotions. He believed hard work was everything and that people who begged on the streets were lazy and weak. One day, while driving through the city in his tinted luxury car, he saw a barefoot man sleeping on the pavement, a piece of torn cardboard covering his chest. Daniel frowned in disgust. "Why can't they just work?" he muttered to his driver. The driver glanced in the mirror. "Sir, some of them have no choice." Daniel scoffed. "There's always a choice. They just don't try." His assistant, Maria, who sat beside him, looked uneasy but remained silent. She'd heard him speak this way before. She had once tried to explain that not everyone had the same opportunities. But Daniel wouldn't listen. He believed everyone was responsible for their own fate. That night, at a charity gala, Daniel made a bold statement on stage. We should not waste resources on people who don't help themselves. If they want to change their lives, they should get up and do it. It's that simple. The audience clapped politely. Some were impressed, some were uncomfortable. But the words echoed far beyond the hall. The next morning, Daniel found a letter on his office desk with no name. It was handwritten. "If you think life on the streets is easy, live it. Just one day. No money. No phone. No help. Walk in our shoes, or barefoot. And then decide if we're lazy." He read it twice, then laughed. "What kind of joke is this?" he said aloud. But something in the letter struck him. A challenge. His pride got the better of him. "I'll do it," he told Maria later that day. "One day on the streets. Just to prove a point." Maria stared at him. "You're serious?" "Why not? I'll be back by tomorrow morning. No one recognizes you without the suit. But are you sure about this? I want to show how easy it is to survive." And just like that, Daniel handed his phone, wallet, and watch to Maria. He changed into old clothes, ripped jeans, a faded shirt, and worn sneakers. He walked out of his building, no guards, no assistants, just himself and the city. At first, he felt fine. It was almost exciting. He walked with confidence, head held high. He thought he could blend in. But the sun was hotter than he expected. The sidewalks harder. By noon, his feet hurt. He tried to sit on a bench, but was quickly asked to move by a security guard. "This isn't a place for loitering," the man said, eyeing him suspiciously. Daniel walked on. He felt the first pangs of hunger by 2 p.m. He hadn't eaten since breakfast. He passed restaurants, smelling food, but couldn't even ask for water. When he reached for a leftover sandwich near a trash can, someone nearby sneered, "Get away, bum." He felt anger rise in his chest. "They don't know who I am." But that was the point. No one knew, and no one cared. To them, he was just another man on the streets. As the afternoon passed, the pavement seemed hotter, the noise louder, and the people colder. He tried asking a shopkeeper for water. The man refused. "You people come here every day. Go beg somewhere else." Daniel backed away. He found a shaded spot under a tree to rest. As he sat, a small boy, no older than 10, approached him with a plastic bottle. "You want water?" the boy asked kindly. Daniel was startled. "Yes, please." The boy handed it to him and smiled. "I live just over there with my mom. We saw you sitting here. You looked tired." Daniel blinked, touched for the first time in hours. "Thank you. Sometimes my mom gives food to Uncle Ravi too. He sleeps near the temple." The boy ran off, and Daniel sat with the bottle in his hand, more humbled than ever. By evening, he was exhausted. Every muscle in his body ached. He hadn't eaten a thing. People continued to avoid him or look through him. The city he thought he ruled now felt like a stranger. Night fell. He found a corner near a closed bookstore and sat down. cardboard, plastic sheets, a few newspaper pages, all gathered by those who had been here longer. They knew where to find what little comfort was possible. An old man nearby offered him a thin blanket. You knew? The man asked. Daniel hesitated. Yes. Don't worry. First night's the hardest. Daniel stared at the man. He was toothless, bent with age, but kind. Do you live here? He asked. 10 years now. Lost my wife. Couldn't afford the hospital. I worked in a factory for 30 years, but after it closed, no one wanted old hands. Daniel said nothing. I used to think it couldn't happen to me. The man continued. But life is like rain. You never know where the water will fall. Daniel looked away, suddenly feeling the sting of guilt. He lay down on the hard ground, using his arm as a pillow. The street was loud. Car horns. Dogs barking. People shouting. A cold wind swept through the alley. He shivered. Time moved slowly. Every hour felt like a punishment. Sleep came in broken pieces. He didn't know when morning arrived. But the light woke him. His back was sore. His face dirty. His hands trembling from hunger. But something inside him had changed. He walked back to his office building, still in the same clothes. The security guard almost stopped him until Maria appeared. She gasped when she saw him. Are you okay? He nodded slowly. Do you want to go home? No, he said quietly. I want to go to the boardroom. An hour later, Daniel stood in front of his executives. All dressed in suits, all with notepads and coffee. He looked different, quieter, still. I made a mistake, he began. A big one. Everyone stared. I spent one day on the streets. Just one. And it broke me. Not physically. But inside, I used to think people were poor because they were lazy. I was wrong. No one spoke. I was hungry. I was ignored. I was judged. And I had every advantage waiting for me the next day. But many don't. He paused. There was an old man who gave me a blanket. A child who gave me water. And 100 strangers who looked through me like I didn't exist. He sighed. I never want to feel that way again. And I don't want anyone else to either. From that day, Daniel changed everything. He started a new initiative in his company. Employment training and shelter partnerships for the homeless. Instead of just donations, he invested in long-term rehabilitation programs. He met with social workers. He listened. He walked the streets again. This time not as an outsider, but as someone trying to help. His company's slogan quietly changed months later. Everyone deserves a second chance. Even if they never got a first. And Daniel Carter, the man who once thought the streets were a choice, became the one who fought hardest to bring people off of them. Because he had learned something no money could teach. You don't need to lose everything to understand someone's pain. You just need one night. And a heart open enough to feel it.